Labor Day savings are happening right now at the Home Depot. So what are you working on? Prep for fall with our wide selection of cordless power tools that make it easy to clear your lawn starting at $79. And once the leaves are clear, keep your yard looking fresh with colorful mums that bloom all season long. Shop Labor Day savings now through September 3rd only at the Home Depot. See select stores for details.
From LAist and APM, American Public Media, it's This Old House Radio Hour. I'm your host, Jen Largis. On today's show, we explain what a modern-day home security system could look like in your home, from the locks you should choose to the strength of your Wi-Fi password.
If you have a conventional lock, that is a non-high security lock, I can take a picture of that with my smartphone, and I can make a key from that.
How Grammy-winning banjo player Alison Brown became the unlikely steward of Nashville's most notorious address.
We're really glad we didn't know that history when we were negotiating to buy the building, because I'm sure we would have paid too much.
Cheap Old Houses are back with a Hoosier State Special, an 1811 log home full of pioneer history, and a picture-perfect A-frame just steps from the lake. All of this, plus we're answering your home improvement questions at 877-864-7460. Coming up next. Welcome back to This Old House Radio Hour from LAist and APM. I'm your host, Jen Largis. Nowadays, ensuring your home's safety goes beyond just locking your front door. Mark Tobias, co-founder of the Security Engineering Laboratory at the University of Pittsburgh, joins us to share the latest security tools, from doorbell cameras to digital safeguards, and everything you need to know to build a system that keeps your home safe. Mark, welcome to This Old House Radio Hour.
Pleasure. Thank you.
So, Mark, can you explain to us what different areas of the home need to be considered when you're thinking about a home security system? What are the points that are most vulnerable?
First of all, start obviously with doors. Not hollow core doors if you can get away from it. Solid core doors are much better. The other problem, especially with homes, is glass. And a lot of doors have glass panels. Glass is easy to break. If you have a deadbolt, double deadbolt, it's more difficult to open, for example, if you have glass in the door, but it also presents a safety hazard.
And can people trying to gain entry pick locks, or is that not really a concern?
Depends whether you have kids in the neighborhood like I was. We introduced lock bumping into the United States in 2007. It is still a problem for conventional non-high security cylinders, which means that a 15-year-old kid with a bump key could open the lock in a few seconds.
What is a bump key exactly?
It's a key that's specially cut down to the deepest part on the key. They're really easy to make either with a file or a key machine. All you need is the right blank and a little mallet or bump hammer that you apply force to the end of the key, and you can open the lock.
What do you look for when choosing a door lock for your home?
Well, first of all, there's a couple ratings. One is the Builders Hardware Manufacturers Association. The high security rating is 156.30. That's what you want. And UL, which is Underwriters Laboratory 437, which is a commercial standard for pick resistance, certain kinds of covert entry and forced entry that's built into the high security standard. I would also recommend deadbolts. And so what you really want to do, go to a reputable locksmith. They are your security specialists. They carry high security locks. You can buy restricted keyways, which means like in our apartment complex, you can't go to any local locksmith and get those keys duplicated. I have to call the factory with the key codes to get keys. It may not be as convenient, but nobody's going to take their keys and copy them.
Interesting. So now that we've thought about areas that are of concern in the home, what are some of the best kinds of security systems that we can be using to protect those areas?
Alarm systems and cameras. There are a lot of major brands out there. The cameras are pretty good now, and most of them are encrypted, so they can't be hacked into. My condos, we have cameras. They sense motion. And so even if I'm sitting in Europe and somebody comes into one of my condos, I get an alert and I see the picture. I also have an electronic doorbell, so I can answer it from wherever I'm at. The cameras are really good and they're not expensive. And they all run on Wi-Fi or cellular. And actually, where I'm at right now, we have a lot of water problems in the summer. I put a camera on our rooftop. And so because I want to know if there's water on our flat roofs, these cameras will go anywhere. And because they're cellular, you get the pictures or video on your smartphone.
So if I'm shopping for a camera and I'm wanting to use it specifically for home security purposes, what's the best way to use a camera as a security precaution?
All the cameras we use, they sense motion, they sense people, they sense light. So I get an instant notification if somebody walks into the area that the camera is covering. If you put the cameras in a critical area, entry points, wherever you think is important, it'll send you a notification if that area has been compromised. You put in a separate alarm system, there's usually a monthly fee. They're not expensive. The DIY alarm systems now, anybody can put them in. You need to understand certain things. You don't point sensors at heaters, high sunlight. I have fire, smoke, temperature sensors, and the really neat thing is leak detectors for water. You can tie all of those into a Wi-Fi or cellular-based alarm system, easy, and it's all monitorable on your phone, on your PC, so you can set all the parameters, do everything.
What do you think the future of home security looks like?
It's going to be electronic because, frankly, most consumers will trade a level of security for convenience. Basically, all the home automation systems, there's 3 or 4 major brands out there now. They're all doing the same thing. You talk to them, you schedule things, whatever, but they'll also give you access into your house. And so you want to make sure it's password protected. I hope you're feeling safe about now.
I am not. I'll sleep with one eye open tonight. Is there anything else that we need to think about? Is there any other really weak point, whether it's the garage door or somewhere else, that we really need to be focusing on as we're planning out a home security system for our entire premises?
It's called defense in depth. If you have a conventional lock, that is a non-high security lock, I can take a picture of that with my smartphone, which is a high-resolution camera, and I can make a key from that picture. So you do not want one point of failure. But if you only have door locks, it's a point of failure. There's a lot of different areas that you need to concentrate on. But again, if you put in an alarm system, then you could put it in yourself. If you just use a little common sense where you're pointing sensors, have really good quality locks and put in cameras, that's the best you're going to do. You know, I hope you have good sleeping medicine.
I'm going to need all of it tonight. Well, we thank you so much for your expertise, and we thank you for being with us. This is fantastic information and a lot to think about.
A lot to think about. Thanks for having me.
That was Mark Tobias. For more information, go to securitylaboratories.org. Right now, we're tackling your DIY and home improvement questions. Call us at 877-864-7460. That's 877-864-7460, and we'll match you with the right expert. Hello, you're on This Old House Radio Hour.
Hi, this is Matt. I'm calling from San Antonio, Texas.
Matt, what's your question today?
Well, I have a question. I have a home that's almost 20 years old, and unfortunately, the previous owner was not good about maintenance, painting, and the fascia is cracking, peeling, kind of soft to a screwdriver. I sanded as best I could, scraped a couple of years ago, painted, and it just didn't take. So I'm wondering if I just need to bite the bullet and start with fresh fascia, but kind of how I go about doing that, priming, painting, where to start.
Well, we've got Zach Detmora, general contractor for the show, and Mauro Henrique, the painter for the show, both here to help. Zach, for our listeners, can you tell them what a fascia board is?
So a fascia board is a horizontal board that runs along the edge of your roof, right where the roof meets the outer walls of the house. It's both like aesthetically pleasing, but it also is typically hiding the sort of structural member that is connecting the edge of all your rafters.
So extra susceptible if it gets wet to creating more damage. Zach, what do you think about what's going on?
I think your fascia is probably pine. Does that sound correct when you looked at it when you were sanding it?
Yes.
So a couple things could have happened. The first thing is whenever you're installing pine on the exterior of a house or most products that you plan to paint, it really needs to be painted on all 6 sides. And that's something that is very labor intensive for the carpenters, and the primer may not show up with the wood, right? So one thing that could be happening is moisture is getting into that wood, either in the end grain or the back or the bottom of the top if it's not primed properly, and that moisture is getting trapped behind your paint and your primer that you applied, and it's causing it to rot out, basically, because it wasn't installed properly. It can't dry out as it needs to. That's what maybe kicked this whole situation off. And it sounds to me like if you use the perfect analogy, screwdriver soft, right? You could sink a screwdriver into it. You do need to replace that fascia board, or at least that section that you could push a screwdriver through, because that rot could continue into the structural member that it's fastened to. I think the best person to talk to would be Mauro to talk to you about, once you've replaced that, how to paint it in a way that you won't have a failure in the future. So what do you got for us, Mauro?
Well, you made a good point right there. I would say many at the house, sometimes we come to a brand new house, and once we start painting, we see that, just like you said, none of those, usually they do the 3 sides, top, side, and the bottom. Nothing in the front, not the back, which is the most important, because probably you have gutters against that most of the times, the fascia boards. But when you see that is some soft spot, you can put your screwdriver and go through the surface. It means there's a serious problem with the water. And most of the time is like a coat of primer could prevent a lot of that stuff to happen. And a good coat of paint too. Usually when we do new houses, I ask them if it comes, all the trim, corner boards, fascia boards, rake boards, anything that if it comes unprimed, I like to put a coat on and a good oil base to all 6 sides, just like Zach said. And then I will worry about the top, the front, the sides before install.
So oil-based.
This is my preference for raw wood. If it comes like bare wood, I would definitely, if I have the chances to prime everything before, I'll come there then a week before installation, I'll prime everything. And I like the oil because for bare wood, I think it's got a better protection than the water base.
And can you do the acrylic paint over the oil-based primer, or do you have to stick with an oil-based?
No, absolutely you can. This oil base is specific designed to take any water-based paint on top of that.
Okay, great.
And that will solve you the problem.
Okay, I appreciate the help. I'm not a biologist, but it's so soft that in spots there's like mold, lichen, something's starting to grow out of it. So I think it really just I need to go and start fresh. So I appreciate y'all's help.
Well, that's a good way. It will save you a lot of money too.
Rip that off before it does any real damage.
Definitely, I will. I appreciate it. Thanks, guys, so much.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
When we come back, our experts answer more of your home improvement and DIY questions. Call us at 877-864-7460. That's 877-864-7460. Coming up on This Old House Radio Hour from LAist and APM. Stay tuned. We get support from the Home Depot. You know, there's something special about fall. The air gets crisp, the colors start to turn, and the project list gets a little bit longer. It's the perfect time to transform the backyard into a cozy oasis for s'mores with family, or just some quiet stargazing. Our friends at the Home Depot feel the same way. They see their Labor Day savings event as the official start to the season, giving the doers out there permission to dive headfirst into their favorite fall projects. Whether you're keeping the lawn pristine or building that fire pit you've been dreaming of, the Home Depot has the easy upgrades to help you take fall to new heights. Get Labor Day savings at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. You're listening to This Old House Radio Hour from LAist and APM. I'm your host, Jen Largis. Right now, we're tackling your DIY and home improvement questions. We've got an expert on site to help you get the job done right. Call us at 877-864-7460. That's 877-864-7460, and we'll match you with the right expert. Hello, you're on This Old House Radio Hour.
Hi, this is Jake from Milwaukee.
Hey, Jake, what's your question today?
My wife and I recently bought our first house. It is a 1950s ranch here in Milwaukee, and we purchased it from effectively the original owners. So it's pretty much in original condition. And we've got a lighted smart mirror that we picked up for a pretty good deal. And we are trying to figure out how to install it in our fully tiled 1950s bathroom.
Gotcha. Well, we've got Heath Eastman, an electrician for the show, and Zach Detmore, general contractor for the show, both here to help.
Perfect.
Heath, what questions do you have?
So you have a lighted smart mirror, is that right?
That is correct.
And we're installing it on a tiled bathroom wall that's all existing and completely finished.
Yep, that is correct.
So you like to pick the easy projects, apparently.
Yes.
Well, I mean, those lighted mirrors, I like those a lot. It's going to save us from having to put a fixture above it or sconces on the side. Depending on the type it is, a lot of them have that light that goes around it's like a band around the whole frame of the glass that really lights up pretty well. And it's a smart mirror. Does it let you control it from your phone as well to give you lighting colors and a few other things?
Yeah, so they've got an app with it, and then the instruction manual will say to wire it into a dimmer switch.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good. That was going to be one of the questions. Is some of them strictly plug in and have the controls actually on the mirror itself, so you'd have to touch the mirror to turn the lights on and off, change things. It may have an anti-fog setting. We're going to heat the mirror up if the shower is too steamy. But it's nice to know that we have a dimmer. Do you know if it has a receptacle in it as well?
Let me check. I got the manual in front of me.
I'm getting mirror envy. This is like the fanciest mirror I've ever heard of.
These things are great. You don't have one?
No.
Just got a dumb mirror.
I have a dumb mirror. Just a regular dumb mirror.
So we do, it has what they call a power bar that you install to the wall. It looks like it's kind of mounting, and it's got your electrical connections kind of housed in there.
Got it. Okay, so this is going to have a separate wall switch it's calling for from the sounds of it to turn the light on and off, and then it has a receptacle inside the cabinet as well. Okay, So that's going to require two separate things. So for my end, it's fairly easy, but Zach, you got to tell them how to mount this to the tile and how we're going to make holes in this.
Yeah, so you said this is a tile wall. Does the tile go all the way to the ceiling? Or does it stop around 52 inches?
I would call it, 52 inches. It's probably about a little over half of the wall.
And is this new mirror big enough to cover all remnants of the old mirror?
Optimistically.
That's a good sign.
He measured it with his hands on it.
I like where your head's at least. That's great.
Is there a second floor above this bathroom? Or is this ranch you can go right up into an attic?
I can go right up into the attic.
That sounds like good news to me.
Yeah, we can at least fish wires down and get down to that wall with any luck.
Yep.
So for my end, you're going to have to get a wire from the switch. That's going to have to go over and go probably in one side of the mirror into that lighting area. The junction box is going to be usually in the bottom of those, controlled by the dimmer. And then you'll also have to get a wire off of the receptacle that's in the bathroom. They could both be the same circuit as long as it's contained to that one bathroom, but a lot of times they're separate. We'll do a lighting circuit that can bounce around and a separate dedicated 20 amp receptacle for the bathroom. Now, based on the age of the home, unless it's been renovated, it probably doesn't have that. But where you're adding a new receptacle inside of that medicine cabinet, you are going to want to run a new circuit.
They did update this to a GFCI at some point, and I tested it. It is a real GFCI.
Okay, that's a start. We just want to make sure that it's a 20 amp receptacle, it's 20 amp circuit dedicated to that bathroom or shared with the other bathrooms only. And if that's the case, then we're good to jump off of that.
Okay.
How could he check that to see if that's the case?
With a circuit tracer.
Stick a fork in it?
Definitely, yes.
No, we're not doing it the Zach way.
Right.
No.
Not everyone's got a circuit tracer, okay?
I know. The easiest way is probably to plug something in the little GFI receptacle testers that have the 3 indicator lights on the front. They're about $5 at a home center. A lot of them have the test and reset button on it as well. But if you have the GFCI in the bathroom, you don't need that. Plug that in and start turning circuits off until you see it go out and see what else goes out with it. And we'll be able to tell if it's a 15 or a 20.
Okay.
You know what I like to do is I like to plug in the loudest vacuum cleaner I have and then run in the basement until I hear it turn off.
If you're doing it solo, that's not a bad way to go.
I've got a shop vac. It'll do it.
Perfect. So I think the hardest thing's going to be is getting the wires over there and then drilling through the tile to get that through and remount.
Okay, what's the best way to drill through that tile?
I would say, because the mirror's going to cover it, and I think all the perfectionists are going to really love this approach, I would just chop like a nice big 4 tile. I'm assuming these are like 4x4 tiles?
Yep.
I would cut a nice 8x8 hole and remove 4 of those because there might be some cross blocking or something, and you need to get that wire down. And my guess is it's never just clean sailing that if you cut like a 1-inch hole in the tile, you'll get that Romex wire to just come right in. So I think give yourself a little bit of space to work and then cover the hole with the mirror.
Yeah, and it's going to be going into a small connector in the backside of that junction box anyway, so you're perfectly fine with that.
Okay.
Well, we wish you luck. I think that new smart mirror is going to look great in there.
That'll be a good project.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys for your help.
Good luck. Take care.
Thank you.
Right now, we're answering your questions. Call us at 877-864-7460. Hello, you're on This Old House Radio Hour.
Hi, this is Adam Verslite from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Hey, Adam, what's your question?
Yeah. So last fall, I bought a new dryer, and I bought one of these heat pump dryers that doesn't have a vent in it. But our previous dryer was vented. So, we took the hose out where it connects to the vent out of the house, but now I have nothing there. I just have a hole in the side of my house. And I don't know what to do with it, if I should fill it up or leave it and don't touch it or what.
Okay. Well, to help, we have Zach Detmore, general contractor for This Old House here. Zach, we can brainstorm this out, right?
We can figure this out.
We can totally figure this out.
We totally figured this out.
I'm thinking a little window.
I think the first question that should be addressed is, what do you think of the ventless dryer? Because this is something that's a huge marital problem in my house. One of us, I won't say who, was very much looking to go with a ventless dryer, and the other person said, "Oh no, we mustn't do that." So how about some real world feedback? What do you think? Would you do it again?
Yeah. So I did have to get a warranty repair because the latch broke. I don't think that has anything to do with it being ventless, but that has been fine since we handled that. It takes longer to run, but that's the only thing with it. You got to plan for it to run a little bit longer. Otherwise, it's fine. It's using less electricity, like it says. And even the app tells me how many kilowatt hours it uses per load, and it's pretty low compared to the last one.
Wait, you know how much energy it's using per load?
Yeah. So
are you an electrical engineer? How do you know this?
No. But I work in IT, so sometimes I have to watch power in our data center at work. So I have enough knowledge to carry that over to the dryer.
Amazing. We just learned that's not in our wheelhouse.
This is so much data.
Yeah.
So it's a win, a triumph for ventless
Zach,
dryers.
I didn't know this was a debate. What's the hot topic? Fill me in.
The hot topic is we're spending money. You can figure out who's on what side after this.
I mean, I think I know.
You're spending money to condition your house, right? Your boiler's kicking on and it's heating. And when you run your dryer, you're basically sucking that energy you paid to dehumidify and condition, and you're just throwing it out the side of your house every time you do laundry, right? And is that a good idea? So the ventless dryer basically deletes that, and it means you can also place it more strategically within the structure of the building because it doesn't need that pipe that runs outside. There could be fires that are started because there's lint building up inside a dryer vent. People don't maintain them properly. That's the cool thing about a ventless dryer. Now to the task at hand.
Okay.
Helping Adam for the reason he calls.
Yeah, well, no, really quick. My wife used to stay up at night with the dryer running because the fire risk, which is probably overkill. But like with the new dryer, we just start it before we go to bed, and it just runs and finishes on its own. So
yeah,
right.
I do feel weird leaving the house when my dryer's running.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to have that same problem, and then I got divorced.
You liar. Okay, so what does he do with the hole that was left in his wall?
Great. What kind of siding do you have, Adam?
This part of the house, it's brick.
Oh,
No.
brick.
Yeah.
Proper job. Okay. Is it a short run of pipe that you'd be abandoning inside the wall?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's, I don't know, maybe 6 inches, give or take, maybe a little less.
Okay. Is this your forever home? Are you going to be moving anytime soon?
Probably we'd move 1 or 2 more times. Yeah.
Okay. So I would say I would cover it up temporarily. Typically there's what's called a sidewall vent, some sort of plastic or metal vent that sort of has a flapper on it. Do you have something like that? Mm-hmm. So I would probably remove that, and there's probably some screw holes, and then I would screw a piece of either a block of PVC trim board or a block of wood or something over that hole. But I would leave it because you might sell the house to one of these people who say, I will not have a ventless dryer. I didn't have 38 children to wait and wash all these clothes and have to wait an extra 4 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I think you leave it for them because you're not planning on being here forever. And you just give them that option, and you just cover it up in a way that no critters or moisture can get in, and it doesn't have to be that beautiful.
Could you do something underneath a traditional vent so that it just looked like a normal vent from the outside? You know what I mean? Like they sell the caps for different vents that come outside your house. Can you just put something underneath that to either clog the pipe or to seal it in some way, and then just put that back on to be your finish?
Heck yeah, you could. That's an even better idea than what I was suggesting.
We did not get rid of our vented dryer, but we did get rid of something that had a vent, and we left the cap. But we sealed behind it. And that way it just, no one knew the better.
I'd say shove some mineral wool in it, put the vent on, as Jen's saying, and I'm glad you have such a wonderful and responsible relationship with your wife where you guys agree on everything.
For now.
All right. Thanks, Adam.
Thank you, guys.
Take care.
Right now, we're tackling your DIY and home improvement questions. Call us now at 877-864-7460. That's 877-864-7460, and we'll match you with the right expert. Hello, you're on This Old House Radio Hour.
Hi, this is Gina Frank calling from Framingham, Massachusetts.
Hi, Gina. What's your question today?
I am calling because I have a bunch of lichen and moss on my roof that's left over from when I had a big old oak tree next door. And we bought our house in 2022, and the inspector said the roof was in good shape. But I just am wondering, now that tree's gone, does it make sense to remove that lichen and moss? And who do I contact to do that? I just feel like someone's going to try to sell me a new roof.
That is a legitimate concern. Luckily, we have Ross Trethewey, the building engineer for This Old House, and Zach Detmore, a building contractor for the show, both on the line.
Hey, Gina. Ross Trethewey here.
Oh, hi.
Hey, Gina. Zach here.
Hi. So exciting to talk to you.
Well, great question. Zach, you want to jump into it?
Totally. You need a new roof. Oh, sorry.
Hey.
No, that's okay. I just want to know.
She just wants the truth.
He's kidding.
Oh, okay. I was ready.
Yeah, you're good. I'm trying to see if I can get commissions off the show for how many roofs I can sell, but it's not working out so well. They're keeping me honest. Yeah, I think this is something you can clean off. Are you a DIY type person, or do you want to hire someone to do this?
We're normally pretty mostly DIY, but I feel like I've known too many people who have fallen off of roofs. Like,
You used to know people who fell off roofs.
For real.
There's places we have to draw the line, right?
Yeah, where we that involves not dying.
Exactly. So, Zach, is it a problem to actually leave any kind of moss on the roof? Does it it definitely needs to be cleaned?
That's a great question. My understanding of the roof that you have is you typically don't want anything living that can sort of embed into the particles. It's just not how it was designed as a system in terms of durability. So I definitely think you want to clean this off. My first call, if this was my house, because I also don't like being on a roof just because I'm kind of scared of heights, even though I do this professionally, is I call a soft washer, not a power washer, right? Even though it's usually all in the name. But people who run power washing businesses typically rely on chemicals and volume of water rather than pressure and PSI to clean the exterior of homes. So these types of people typically will know to brush the roof rather than sort of blast it off. What do you think, Ross? Am I barking up the right roof here?
No, yeah. Yeah, you do not use a power washer. So if anybody comes to you and says, yeah, we could power wash that stuff right off, that's not the right solution. I'm assuming you have asphalt shingles, Gina.
Yeah, asphalt shingles, yeah.
Yep. And is it only on the north side of the building or is it on all sides?
It's only on the north side.
What's probably happening is, you're getting that biogrowth, the lichen and the moss. And so what it's ultimately doing is it's absorbing water. And so it's basically like putting a water pad on top of your roof. So it will definitely, you definitely want to remove it because you don't want water sitting on the shingles. They never have a chance to dry out. It creates, challenges with roof rot. And then on top of that, it can start to lift the shingles up if it starts to get underneath them. And then if you want to take it a step further, they do have zinc and copper that you can install under the ridge vent. You can put a layer of zinc under the ridge vent, and then when the rainwater hits it, that zinc runoff, it acts as a way to protect future moss from growing.
And if you drink the water coming off your roof, it'll keep you from getting colds in the winter.
Fake news. Fake news.
Prove me wrong. Try it and see.
Yeah, it's worth a try, right? Who doesn't need more heavy metals?
You didn't know this was the kind of advice you were calling in for today.
Yeah, it was. But who am I actually looking up to try to find here? Like people who do soft washing, you said?
Yeah, so if you search power washing company and look under their services, typically you'll see something like soft washing, rinsing, window cleaning. But in general, professional power washing companies offer soft washing. They will use aggressive PSI if they're doing concrete or graffiti removal. But in general, most of those companies come with the right skill set. Just look at the services they offer on their website. And if you see soft washing, I would talk to one person, get a feel for them. And if you need another one, try two.
Great. Okay, thank you so much. Super helpful.
Good luck, and call me if you want that roof installed.
Oh, yeah, I'll hit you up.
All right, great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gina.
Thanks, Gina.
Bye-bye.
Coming up next, we take a guided tour of Nashville's most notorious address with Grammy-winning banjo player Alison Brown. That's next on This Old House Radio Hour from LAist and APM. Welcome back to This Old House Radio Hour from LAist and APM. I'm your host, Jen Largis. Coming up, Cheap Old Houses features a fully restored 1811 log home with loads of Hoosier State pioneer history. But first, we go to Nashville, Tennessee, where Grammy-winning banjo player Alison Brown became the unlikely steward of the city's most notorious address, Hillbilly Central, ground zero for the outlaw country movement and the former headquarters of Waylon Jennings.
Hi, my name's Alison Brown. I'm a banjo player, co-founder of Compass Records, a Nashville-based roots music company, and this is my old house. Our headquarters is formerly known as Hillbilly Central, the former home of the Glazer brothers, architects of the outlaw movement in country music. Waylon Jennings recorded his first gold album there. We are the fortunate caretakers of their space. The building was owned by BMG. They'd acquired it through a publishing acquisition. So it was a line item on a balance sheet, and we were negotiating with somebody up in New York who didn't know what a gem it was. We verified the history. I couldn't believe it when I learned that John Hartford, who is a banjo player and who wrote Gentle on My Mind, one of the most recorded songs in Western music, did his best-known album, Aeroplane, in our studio. Another one of the characters that was here at Hillbilly Central quite a bit was Chris Christopherson. He was hanging out here a lot. Gary and I did a show in Glasgow a few years ago, and we saw Chris, and we told him about owning Hillbilly Central. Asked him if he could tell us some stories about what it was like back in the day when he was hanging around. And he said that there's a lot I can't remember about back then, but about that place, I can tell you that if I could remember it, I couldn't tell you about it. From the photos that I've seen, it was cluttered and kind of a mess. We've heard that it was smoke-filled with full ashtrays all over the place. I know it was a wild place. There's a concrete block wall at the rear of the building that's filled with pockmarks from Waylon and Captain Midnight throwing a Bowie knife into an old wooden door that was leaning against the building. And apparently in the state they were in, they were missing the door and hitting the wall more than they hit the door. So we have a lot of tourists from Europe especially who like us to show them the pockmarks in the wall on the outside of the building. We're really glad we didn't know that history when we were negotiating to buy the building, because I'm sure we would have paid too much. When we got the building, it looked just like the late 70s. There was old carpeting, squeaky original floors. The building itself was actually built in 1928, and the Glazer brothers acquired the building in 1966. When we moved into the building for the first probably 15 years, we used the building spaces the way it had been laid out by the Glazer brothers. But then right before the pandemic, we started a big renovation on the downstairs part of the building. It probably took 2 years, maybe a little bit more. When we moved into the building in 2004, we converted Waylon Jennings' office into a playroom for our daughter, who was 2 at the time. We put windows in and like little window seats, storage for all the toys. Hannah and then later our son, Brendan, spent many hours in that room while I was working. It's funny because taking Waylon Jennings' office and converting it into a playroom has a certain amount of irony to it. It was just a room at the back of the building that felt like the right place to keep the kids close but out of the way. As a working mom, before I had kids, I would wonder, how do you continue to work and still juggle kids, and you don't want to be away from your kids? I was super fortunate that we were able to have them in the office. As a result, they both have grown up with a deep and close attachment to music. The office really is a home away from home. It's like where they came after school was to Compass Records. From there, the renovation expanded out. We've gotten rid of a lot of the old paint and the cork walls downstairs, but we still have the big safe downstairs where the Glazer brothers stored their masters and their money. So there's still pieces of the past. One of my favorite things is that when we did the renovation, we found some old shag carpeting from the 70s, and we framed that and put that on the wall so that we can all be in touch with our shag past. The studio is still untouched. All we've ever done to the studio is replace the carpeting and repaint. I can't imagine really ever changing that room because I think it's pretty perfect the way it is. Everybody who comes in our studio feels the energy of the room. It's a very positive energy, and the room is allegedly haunted. We've never had experiences personally, although this is one of my favorite stories. We had an au pair for our kids when they were little, and she was from France. She didn't know anything about outlaw country, and she was a classical pianist. She said that she was a medium, and one day she started to describe the people that she would see in the studio while she was playing the piano, and she described greasy guys with long hair and cowboy clothes, wearing a lot of denim, ripped jeans, smoking cigars, just sitting there very happily. And she said that they were there because the space had been a place that they had been very happy while they were alive. It's interesting to me because she had never studied any of the history of outlaw country. And yet she was describing exactly the scene that you might have expected to see in 1969 after the Glazer brothers installed the studio there. There's definitely some otherworldly energy, but it's all incredibly positive energy. It's an incredible privilege to be the owners of this room now. It's such a deep legacy. We feel lucky every day when we think about the fact that this room is our room. We still can't believe it. With so much changing on Music Row and so many of the older studios being torn down, it feels more important every day to protect musical legacies like this one. So it's an awesome responsibility and a privilege at the same time. And I hope people think, wow, we're so glad that someone had the foresight to protect this building and keep its history alive.
All right, that was Alison Brown. Her upcoming album with Steve Martin, Safe, Sensible, and Sane, is out on October 17th on Compass Records. At This Old House, we want you to get the most out of everyday items in and around your home. Here are 3 things you can do with extra chopsticks. 1. Fill stripped screw holes. Apply a small amount of wood glue to the tip of a chopstick, then insert the glued end into the stripped screw hole. Let the glue dry, then break off the excess, leaving it flush with the surface. Now you can insert a new screw into the filled hole. 2. Unclog bottles and tubes. You can use the narrow end of a chopstick to unclog tubes of caulk, bottles of glue, or other dispensers with small openings. Gently insert the chopsticks into the opening and twist or push to break up any dried material. Lastly, clean those hard-to-reach spots. Wrap your cleaning cloth around the end of a chopstick to reach into narrow crevices, such as vents, behind faucets, and in window tracks. For more tips like this, visit our website, thisoldhouse.com. Now, back to the show. You're listening to This Old House Radio Hour from LAist and APM. I'm your host, Jen Largis. Right now, we're joined by Ethan and Elizabeth Finkelstein, publishers of Cheap Old Houses, the popular social media account that draws millions of fans eager to discover homes across America listed for as little as $10. Together, we'll explore whether these hidden gems become a labor of love or a money pit. Ethan and Elizabeth, thanks for joining us on This Old House Radio Hour.
Hi, Jen.
Hey, Jen. Can't wait to talk about some summertime retreats here for really cheap.
Us too. Also joining us to understand the scope of a possible renovation is This Old House general contractor, Zach Detmore.
Hey, Jen.
Our first listing today is a 2-bedroom and 2-bathroom log cabin home. So this cabin looks really quaint on the outside, but on the inside, it's actually been upgraded to include modern electricity, plumbing, heating, and cooling, which I think is pretty rare for a cabin that looks like this. There's also modern appliances in here, and they say it has a newly installed vapor barrier with insulation, which should really help with efficiency. This property comes with a detached garage, which is amazing. And it's located at 415 South 9th Street in Mitchell, Indiana, and it has an asking price of $135,000. Ethan and Elizabeth, are these modern-day cabins a new trend?
Oh, now they are, at least for us. This one is so cool. It's from 1811, and it looks like it's from 1811. I think that's what's so neat about it. It has all of these modern comforts that have been added, but it feels so old. And we just don't often find cheap old houses that are that incredibly old and that incredibly intact.
This is one of those houses that I don't really want to share with our audience or your audience.
Hey.
I love, this is a frontier cabin and it's $135,000. Like, I legit have no business being in Mitchell, Indiana, but I want to buy this Lincoln log cabin, and it's everything that my frontier dreams, just kind of speak to, but has modern amenities. So that's pretty sweet.
I mean, restoring a cheap old house is kind of like Days on the Frontier. You live without a lot for a long time, and then you you eventually get there.
Are these cabins constructed similar to like the Lincoln log cabins where the logs interlock at the corners?
That's exactly what they are. They're logs, and there's different ways to notch the corners. This looks like it's quite a rudimentary system because the mortar in between the logs, which is called chinking, is so thick here. It's almost the thickness of an entire log. You can tell that there's very little, if any, notching going on in these corner logs. They're really kind of stacked. And that was probably just simply done back in the day to get this house constructed pretty quickly.
Zach, if someone's interested in buying a log cabin, whether it's this one or a different one, what do you need to know about maintenance or modifying?
That's a great question. I think going in and knowing that if you want to expand the footprint, you need to either spend a great deal of time and energy to try and match it, or you need to make it intentionally different, which I think is probably what you would want to do, because a lot of old houses have had many additions over the years, and trying to make them blend may not be the right idea. So you may want to sort of lean into the story of buildings being added on, which you see on this one. There's a little addition on the back, and then there's a little storm or screened in area off the back of that. But I think, it's so old and so unique and so weathered, you're never going to match the interior and exterior details correctly. So I think you just need to respect that and put something on that's tasteful. But my only warning with purchasing a house like this is just making sure you fit in it, because I have walked through houses like this and I'm always a little surprised how tall I feel in them, because a house that's this old, definitely the doorways are a little bit lower than we're used to.
Moving on to our second listing this week, it's a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom, 1,200 square foot A-framed house. This unique home offers 2 floors with 1,200 square feet. The cozy home has gas forced air, heating, and no mention of a cooling system. The appliances look new, and the pictures look rich in natural sunlight, we'll say. This 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom A-frame home is located at 5142 West Corley Lane in Silver Lake, Indiana, and has an asking price of $89,000. Ethan and Elizabeth, let's talk about A-framed houses. One of my favorite topics.
I know A-frames are kind of the great unifier. Everybody loves them. I feel like they're both high design and also sort of very kitschy, old school Americana. And like everyone can embrace them because they're just so fun. And, we run an Instagram feed about old houses, and nothing pops on Instagram better than an A-frame. So every time we post them, they just go wild.
There is a love for A-frames that knows no bounds, even if you hit your head.
Yeah. Well, I think, too, they're associated with vacationing because they really came into vogue, at least in this country, as vacation homes, even though they are modeled after sort of historical farmhouses in Japan, in Switzerland. But these are places where it's very cold, and that roof shape was done for practicality purposes. So snow would just fall right off of it. And then in mid-century America, they started to be designed by architects as vacation homes, and they've been in vogue ever since.
Zach, what is your thoughts on A-frame homes? Are they structurally sound? Are they easy to build, modify, work on?
I feel like from a practicality standpoint, in terms of, getting the maximum amount of livable square footage out of a home, A-frame doesn't make a lot of sense because it gets smaller towards the top. But I still love them for whatever reason. I can't explain why. It's so whimsical. I'm a sucker for an A-frame, especially if I'm like on the prowl for a weekend getaway. If it's an A-frame, I'll definitely spend a little bit more money.
And hard to believe it's under $100,000. I mean, $89,000 seems wild to be right near the lake like that.
Yeah, but I mean, this house seems like it's ready to be mortgaged if you wanted to. So it's very little bit down, and for a $500 a month mortgage, that's like cheaper than a jet ski that you would put on this lake. So
your toys cost more than your house.
Exactly. Seems like a no-brainer.
So a lot of times when I see A-frames, they have the electrical has to sort of be mounted on the inside of the walls. Is there no cavity between the roof and the ceiling or walls, places where you would usually run all of your electrical pipes, etc.?
Most A-frames, you're sort of blending the line between a roof joist or rafter and a wall stud, but you could technically use that cavity. I think they're all a little bit different. I think sometimes you see things outside the wall just because the wall is pitched, so you have to pull things further away. Like, for example, like a bathroom vanity, maybe it would make sense to feed the plumbing through the floor rather than have it come through the wall, because the vanity would be sort of further away at the base. You could certainly run electric in that cavity without too many issues. It's just the water lines that you may want to keep outside.
So, Zach, would you be worried about how close this home is to the ground? Should listeners be worried about potential water damage when it comes to this kind of a roof line?
That doesn't really concern me too much. It seems like it's high enough off the ground. They brought the roofing either level with or slightly below the siding, so I think it's sort of hanging over the foundation. So this particular house, I don't see too much that concerns me. Maybe a little, nothing, an afternoon and a shovel couldn't fix with a little regrading of the property. But it appears to me that whoever owned this property really cared for it. My guess is they weren't a millennial.
What gave it away? The decor?
The fact that it was cared for. Millennials don't know how to take care of their properties.
Hey!
I will also say they didn't paint all the woodwork white.
That's true too.
Yes, true.
And I'm a huge fan of whoever kept the vintage fridge and stove intact because they make that kitchen. And I'm a huge vintage stove fan, especially in a house like this.
Yeah, that fridge is so sweet too. Yeah, good call.
Well, Ethan and Elizabeth, thank you so much for joining us today. You can follow Cheap Old Houses on Instagram or subscribe to their newsletter by going to cheapoldhouses.com.
Thank you, Jen.
We're nearly at the end of the show, which means it's time for the Simple Fix.
Hi, Jen. It's Mark McCullough, the show's mason, and this is my simple fix. Is your cement drying too quickly? My simple fix is tamp it. When the mortar is dormant, that's when it begins to set. Tamping is when you add water to mortar that has stiffened, mix it around until you get the desired consistency. After tamping, the clock resets and you can continue with your project.
We'll see you next week on This Old House Radio Hour. Our show is distributed by and co-produced by LAist Studios and APM, American Public Media. This Old House Radio Hour was created and produced by Ember 20. Listen to new episodes of the podcast every Tuesday on your app of choice. You can follow This Old House on all the socials at This Old House, all one word. We'll see you next week.
Hey everybody, I'm Kai Risdahl, the host of Marketplace. I'm going to join Amy Scott on September the 9th. She's the host of How We Survive, and also science writer Elizabeth Kolber for a conversation about the economic consequences of our climate crisis. We're going to break down how the acceleration of climate change is going to disrupt jobs and entire industries, even our daily lives. But it's not all doom and gloom. We're also going to dive into the solutions that are giving us hope right now. Thanks so much to Odoo for sponsoring this free webinar. And you can sign up today at marketplace.org/climate.